Today we're going to review, of course, the Bitcoin situation. We're going to look at the altcoins. We're certainly going to look at the news, the technical indicators. In short, a big program. Let's settle in. We're also going to look at the macroeconomic calendar with a very important news. Come on, let's settle in and start this video directly with, well, precisely this famous macroeconomic calendar. So next week, it's going to be a tiny week from a macroeconomic point of view, but highly important. So Lagarde's speech, and at 5 a.m. no less. What's there to dream about at that time? We don't care about that. We absolutely don't care. However, look, Wednesday from 2:30 p.m., we'll have the CPI indices for the United States. And that's extremely important because, of course, it will have a direct impact on a potential Fed rate cut. And Thursday, we'll have weekly jobless claims and producer prices. So next week, it will only be Wednesday and a little bit Thursday. So it's a small week, even if the CPI indices are still important. But look at this. The following week, what will we have? Well, on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, we'll have the Fed's interest rate decision. So currently, we are at 4.5%. We know that in various others, for example, in Europe, we had a rate cut recently. So the Fed, we'll see what's going to happen. But will they finally decide to cut rates? Will they decide to, when I say they, it's mostly Jerome Powell. Will he decide to keep the same rates, that is 4.5%? In any case, we're waiting. It's in about 10 days now. It's going to be extremely important, you know that. If there's a rate cut, it could be a catalyst for financial assets and also necessarily risky assets like cryptocurrencies. So it could indeed be extremely interesting. It will be on June 18th. So it's exactly in 10 days. Donald Trump proposes eliminating all federal subsidies and contracts for Elon Musk. The goal? To save billions of dollars. The confrontation between Trump and Musk reaches a new level. So, indeed, very interesting to see all this. Is it a show to try to lower asset prices? Or is it really a clash between the two? Only the future will tell us that. But it's true that right now, it's a bit hot between the two. Strategy is selling 11.6 million shares of its 10% preferred series at $85 each. Objective? To raise $980 million. And we have a good idea. If they want to raise that much money, of course, very likely, it will be to buy Bitcoin. So, on the FIFA side, things are happening. So, Crypto Detente tells us that FIFA is launching its own blockchain via Avalanche subnets. So, it's on the Avalanche network. The objective is to propel NFTs, games, and tokenized fan experiences for more control, more scalability, and to have simplified wallet access. So, indeed, that's going to be very cool. Well, it's not happening right away, but that, frankly, is very good news. If they really manage to deploy things on the Avalanche network, we'll see that later. Representative Thomas Massie introduces the Gold Reserve Transparency Act 2025. The objective is to audit U.S. gold reserves for more transparency on the actual stock. So very interesting, that too. From El Salvador's side, they continue to accumulate Bitcoin. They bought 8 Bitcoins this week, so they now hold more than 6,200, which is the equivalent of $652 million at the current price in any case. So that's pretty crazy. This DCA, look at the staircase every time. DCA perfect. Trump strikes again. Elon Musk will face very serious consequences if he finances the Democrats. No desire for peace, adds Trump amid escalating tensions with the head of X. So indeed, we will monitor that. It's tense between the two. Uber CEO states that Bitcoin is a recognized value. He also supports the use of stablecoins for global transactions. So, wouldn't this be a small message to tell us that on Uber's side, we might soon have stablecoins entering the game? That would be extremely interesting too, because Uber we're talking about a lot of transactions anyway. So that would be very good news, even if for now, nothing is officially confirmed. President Trump is expected to announce the next Fed chair very soon to replace Jerome Powell. We know that Trump is fed up. Again, I'm being polite when I say that. He's clearly fed up with Jerome Powell. We know that Trump keeps attacking because that's what it is every day on his social networks, Powell, to tell him to cut rates with insults, calling him an idiot, things like that. So, at some point, that's it. He wants to get rid of him. We'll see. It's likely to happen soon. In any case, as I told you earlier, our friend Powell, unfortunately, is under immense pressure because, On the one hand, he knows he's going to be dismissed, or at least that it's heading in a very bad direction. And we also know that on June 18th, that's what I told you earlier, there will be the Fed's decision on interest rates with a potential rate cut. So, will Jerome Powell announce a rate cut to get himself out of trouble, or will he say nothing and get dismissed? We don't know, but it's going to be super exciting to follow. We're going to start the technical analysis. But before that, I remind everyone that everything I'm going to say is in no way financial advice. It's up to you to do your own research. And don't forget that crypto trading involves risks of partial or major losses. We're starting with the technical analysis section, and so we're starting with our fear and greed index, which is currently at 62. So that means we're moving back into greed a little. We had some good opportunities. 2 days ago, we were still at 45. You see, we were in fear. So once again, the more we are in fear, the more interesting it is. Here we've gone up a bit because Bitcoin has gone up a bit, so naturally that secures and reassures investors a bit. So now we're rather in greed. I would prefer us to really go back here, in the orange or even red, to take new positions on Bitcoin. I remind you that I have a position waiting for me at $92,501 if I remember correctly. I have a position waiting for me at this key level. So, will it be triggered? I don't know. But in any case, if we return to extreme fear, there's a strong chance. But well, for now, we're moving away from it. So, we'll see all that, of course, later. On the side, indeed, of the liquidity map, still in no man's land, we are right between the two clusters of $100,000 and $111,000. So, which way will we go? I've already given you a small hint, and we'll see together in this video if the hint is confirmed or not. So there, look at what happened on the chart. Yesterday, we just had a rather nice breakout. This closing yesterday. In fact, as you can see, we closed the day at 105,676. So yesterday, thanks to this close, we managed first to break the range upwards. So that's already a rather nice close. And also, at the same time, we broke the bearish trend line. Now the problem is the volume. There you see we broke these key levels, but there was no volume on the breakout. However, we knew it. It's the weekend. So when it's the weekend, we know that generally not much happens. I want to point out, but there are people who insult me when I say that. But yet, it's the reality. And there's no point in insulting people. We all have a different point of view. There's no need to insult. We can discuss calmly. And it's especially good to argue, but once again, the proof is there. Indeed, yesterday we had a breakout of the line. But since it's the weekend, there's no volume. So, on the breakout, we didn't have any volume. Unfortunately, it's a shame. Because on a breakout of a key level, it must always be accompanied by volume for it to be a real breakout. So, there we broke, yes. But we can't really talk about a breakout as such, because there, it's really a breakout without volume. It doesn't really have any value. Nevertheless, the breakout is still there. We won't lie, it's there, even if there's no volume. So, given that we are still above the top of the range, now above 105,064, well, listen, I want to say, for now, as long as we are above this key level, we potentially have a direction to go and look for 107,190 and 107,872. Again, take that with a grain of salt, given that we didn't have large volumes on the breakout. Given that we still broke out, we can take this direction. So, there indeed. Anyway, now as long as we're above the top of the range, everything is fine. Yes, as long as we are above this top of the range. We are above this strategic key level. It was resistance when we were below. It's support since now we are above. So, we'll see how we behave. What I like is this MACD momentum. There, you see, that's it. It's much clearer. We are on a decreasing momentum. That is there you see on the MACD momentum side. Well, we are on a momentum that is losing strength on the bears side, and we see it on the bulls side. It's going up a bit. So there, what would be interesting is that maybe in 4, 5, 6 days, we could have a cross bull. In any case, we'll have to wait a bit. You see, the blue line that is here must cross above the orange line. So clearly it's not right away. But well, in 5, 6 days maybe, we could have the cross bull. And we could regain strength. And so there, that would mean we would need to break out in 5, 6 days. Well, the 107,872 resistance. So we can indeed allow ourselves to look for higher points. Notably, to go and look for the ATH we made. Perhaps why not the $111,900? And why not try to break again? I remind you this line here, which is the historical bullish trend line, very long term, which we have never managed to break. So, could we come back and look for this line and break it upwards this time? Which would be really very bullish. We'll see that anyway. But look, I remind you that Bitcoin had formed a head and shoulders. So, that's a bearish chart pattern. But most importantly, I remind you that we had formed here a magnificent bull flag pattern. And that, in general, I told you, tends to break upwards. So, we have two opposing chart patterns. For now, it rather looks like we're going to manage to validate the bull flag, to continue the incoming movement, so the bullish movement. And that's what we seem to be doing. You see, anyway, we validated it. Even if there was no volume, it's useless. But anyway, in terms of closing, it's broken. So there, what I hope is that tomorrow we'll find volume. And we'll have volume towards north to confirm this breakout. Because there, I repeat, we broke the key levels, it's true. But we didn't have volume on the breakout. Without volume, the breakout has no impact. It's as if there was no breakout if there's no volume. So there, on the Bitcoin side, it remains an extremely encouraging news. And frankly, it wouldn't be crazy to have Bitcoin push next week. Look, in terms of closing, we are still above the weekly range. So the long-term range, look at that. Here, we must stay long-term above $104,390. Look, that's what we're doing. We have closed the last 3 weeks. We have closed above this key level. So for now, it's not bad at all. You see, we've come back to retest the top of the range multiple times. It holds perfectly. I remind you that as long as we are at the top of the range from a long-term point of view, we are clearly bullish on Bitcoin. And that would be to go and look for much higher points, of course. Why not $120,000 or even $130,000? Anyway, I've always told you, for me, the target of this bull run could fully be $130,000. I really think we could make a top in that area. So, between $130,000 and $160,000 for me, that would really be the maximum. Tell me in the comments how much you think Bitcoin will reach in this cycle. Are you more like me, thinking it will be around $130,000? Are you more towards $170,000, $180,000, towards $200,000, even more? Tell me in the comments and especially argue. But personally, I think reaching $130,000 in this cycle could indeed be good. Because it must be noted that if we go for $130,000, that would mean Bitcoin would have done 9x in this cycle. So, that would still be quite good. It would be huge, in reality, to do 9x. I remind you that we started from $16,000. So, we would be almost, in reality, even 10x. So, that would be pretty crazy in this cycle. Tell me in the comments what you think. That's what interests me. And most importantly, argue. Without an argument, it has no interest. All right, since we've seen that Bitcoin is, for now, still rather bullish, even if the daily closes bullish, but without volume, it doesn't really have an impact. We're going to look now at what's happening on the altcoin side. And on the altcoin side, of course, it's our Ethereum primarily. I remind you that Ethereum is currently red hot in its lateralization configuration. So, what happened on the Ethereum side? Well, bingo, you see, we came to look for my bullish trend line. It's been 3 days now that we're trying to break this line. And on the Ethereum side, we can't do it. Well, unfortunately, as long as we are below this bullish trend line, we shouldn't expect anything. We won't go higher. And there, that's it. We're there. You see, yesterday we were rejected by this line. So, yesterday the key level was what I told you at 25.37. Well, bingo, that's what rejected us. Today, the key level is just a little higher. Since it's a bullish trend line every day, the level is getting higher and higher. Today, the level is at 25.46. So stay tuned to my YouTube channel. That way, every day, you'll have the key level to break for Ethereum. I remind you that if we go above this key level, Ethereum could obviously regain strength to go for its range high here at $27.38. And if we break this range upwards, of course, that would be for a very, very significant move. I remind you that for several weeks now, Ethereum has been consolidating. We follow it every day. And every day I will continue to tell you that Ethereum is red hot. So don't be in a hurry again. I remind you that there are people who comment saying, Yes, but you said Ethereum was going to break out and nothing is happening. I remind you of the rule because at some point, either we are in cryptocurrency and we want to apply the rules, or we have no business in cryptocurrency. I mean, people who think they're going to get rich overnight, those people, frankly, I want them out of cryptocurrency because they're going to get fleeced, unfortunately. So there, for all those, in any case, who want to respect the rules, I remind you how it works. There, since May 10th, we have entered a consolidation phase. It is currently June 8th. So it's been almost a month, give or take 2 days. So it's been a month that we've been lateralizing. You've understood. This is medium to long term. That means you shouldn't expect it to break today or tomorrow. It's going to break at some point, either upwards or downwards. Moreover, it will eventually break. But it's already been a month that we've been waiting. It could still take quite a while. I am here to show you the key levels. I am here to tell you what will happen when it could indeed get closer, when it could indeed be highly volatile. But I cannot give you a date. I'm not Nostradamus, of course, and neither are you, and no one has a crystal ball. So in any case, all we know is that Ethereum, at some point, is going to start pumping hard. So if we break the range downwards, that would mean breaking $24.40. If we break this key level, you understood that would be to break, but this time downwards. And that, unfortunately, would not necessarily be a good sign to break that downwards. But what I like is that there, you see here, remember the little elastic metaphor I told you to 3 days ago? There on the Ethereum side, you see, we had broken the range downwards, but we reintegrated it the very next day. And I told you, it's like you take an elastic band, you pull it hard downwards. Well, if you let go, it snaps upwards. Well, that's what happened. You see, we broke downwards. And hop, we reintegrated. So there, the goal, if we manage to break this bearish trend line, is to go for the top of the range and break upwards. It's really this metaphor you need to keep in mind. You pull an elastic band downwards, you let go of the elastic band, it takes off. Well, that's what we're doing now. So I really hope we're going to break this line and break this range upwards to have an Ethereum takeoff. We don't have a crystal ball, but in any case, we really hope it will materialize. In any case, if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share as much as possible. You know, it helps with the referencing of my YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe and most importantly, activate the bell on YouTube. That allows you to receive all the next videos.